Judge Merchan has just come out and said he's going to postpone for a few more days his decision. I guess this is the slow drip. He doesn't know what to do. It was supposed to happen today. It was supposed to happen today. We were supposed to find out what exactly was going down. And I'm going to tell you right now, I'm going to predict it right here, right now. It's over. It's over for Judge Merchan. It's over for Alvin Bragg. He's now the president of the United States. He's got the Supreme Court backing him up on this. As you know, as you well know, they didn't have a case here to begin with. I mean, think of how messed up this whole thing was. He makes a personal decision to pay someone off. You get the hush money. The transaction happens. And somehow Alvin Bragg and the Democrats go sniffing around and they're like, oh, no, wait a second. This was a misuse of campaign funds, even though he was doing this actually before he was running for president. So he could argue, of course, that it was a personal thing. But then even if he was doing it in an official capacity, the Supreme Court has come out and backed him up. So there's no there there. There's no there there. And they're just making fools of themselves again in the city and state of New York, as Turley, Jonathan Turley, brilliant law professor, explains.
What happened in that courtroom became superfluous because of those instructions. Some of us were hoping for a hung jury because we hoped that the jury might redeem the New York legal system, which is one of the greatest legal systems in the world. And as these last few weeks have left many of us shocked as to what we saw in that courtroom. But that was not going to happen after the instructions were finalized. And I wrote a column after I saw the instructions saying it had the feel of a canned hunt, where you can shoot game in a small space. The space was very small for the defense to maneuver, and even smaller, it seemed, for the jury to acquit. So I don't blame the jury at all. I think that what they heard in that room probably made it seem to many of them that this was a lead pipe cinch of a conviction. They heard over and over again the prosecutors say that there were election violations committed by Donald Trump, that he ordered Cohen to commit the violations he pled guilty to. That totally smashed the instruction that Merchan had given. And Merchan just sat there. There was no response. So what do you think the jury is going to rule? And then when you tell them, just pick a crime among the three,
that is crazy.
You don't have to agree. Just pick one of these crimes. If you think that secondary crime was behind all of this, you're good to go. But to this day, most of us don't know what the jury decided because we know that they unanimously voted to convict. We don't know what they convicted him of. They could have disagreed 4-4-4 on what occurred in this case. That's one of the first things that I think a court will look at for reversal.
Yeah, without a doubt, a huge constitutional issue. I would argue a Sixth Amendment one.
A huge constitution. She's right. Sixth Amendment as well. That was so bizarre. The whole thing was so bizarre. I mean, lawfare is a pretty scary thing, and I think it's a real threat, frankly, to our foundation as a society. And when you consider that one, when you consider Letitia James, when you consider Fannie Willis, and when you consider Jack Smith, who's just been put on warning because you see Jackie Boy's going packing, special counsel Jack Smith taking steps to wind down federal cases against Trump, and he wants to clean up his records, I guess. Well, the GOP, they're making sure that he keeps records of things. But the idea somehow that you had a judge who was clearly conflicted because of his daughter's position and gave the jury the opportunity to pick, like, from a buffet table what you think he might have been guilty of. I mean, it was honestly one of the most bizarre things I have ever seen, and I think, frankly, a threat to our legal system. So the Supreme Court's there backing him up, and now, again, as we're learning today, Judge Merchan has said that he is going to rule next week on whether that July Supreme Court ruling granting Trump presidential immunity for official acts precludes the jury from finding him guilty after a criminal trial this spring. These people are doubling down, guys. They are doubling down in a really alarming, disgusting way. I said many, many years ago, back in 2018 or 2019, that we were on the verge of some kind of civil war. That's what this feels like, where you have this tension that's more than tension between federal and state. I mean, he's out there saying, hey, I want to help New York. I want to help build a new subway system. I want to help build a new beautiful Penn Station. And they're like, no, we want to put you in jail. I mean, how are they going to put the president in jail? I'm sorry, at the end of the day, we are a federal power for a reason. And federal power trumps state. Therefore, Judge Mershon, he can spend all his time trying to figure this one out. He missed his deadline. He's extending it, you know. Teacher, can I turn in my paper late because I'm trying desperately to figure out if I have any legal standing, any ability to defy what the Supreme Court is saying? It's really pretty darn gross. I want to celebrate, right? Like, I think everybody wants to celebrate. I want to enjoy this moment and think about all the good things coming our way. And yet these people are doing what they do. But I'm sorry, I have to play it again. I love what Mike Davis said to my friend Benny on his show the other day. We're going to have to get Mike on. I don't know if he'd use that language with me. But, he's letting it all hang out right here.
Let me just say this to Big Tish James, the New York Attorney General. I dare you to try to continue your lawfare against President Trump in his second term, because listen here, sweetheart, we're not messing around this time, and we will put your fat ass in prison for conspiracy against rights, and I promise you that. So think long and hard before you want to violate President Trump's constitutional rights or any other American's constitutional rights. It's not going to happen again.
We've been warning people on the show, Mike.
So I guess the short answer is be prepared for a legal fight. This is not going to end as swiftly as we thought. I think the Letitia James stuff will, but Mershon is looking for a lifeline. I don't think he's going to get it ultimately. We know the answer to all of this stuff. Nonetheless, here we are in real time. I mean, this is pathetic, right? Like, it's sort of pathetic, and it's really concerning. And if it doesn't show you MSNBC when your ratings are down 51% and CNN where you're off what? You did a little bit better. I think you're off 30 some odd percent. If this doesn't show you the handwriting that's on the wall, the train has left the station. I mean, I'm all for protecting American rights, but think about what you did. It's got to go both ways. You guys trampled over our rights. I mean, calling conservatives fascists when, if you ask me, what was going down was exactly the opposite. Peace of mind. Bing, bang, boom. I love it. I love it.